All right, welcome back to creating a servant's heart in your son or daughter. This is part two. If you missed the last one, you got to watch it. It all starts from that first video. If you missed that, it's not going to work. That's just the truth. So go back, watch that one. Then, this one, part two. How do we create a servant's heart in our son or daughter? This one, like I said before, this is the one you're going to love. By creating opportunities to serve in the home. Here's the truth. Far too many of us parents do far too much for our kids. Our world revolves around them and their wishes and their schedule and that's not how God created it to be at all. No, instead, He wants us to take them along with us on our journey so we can pass down to them what God has been saying and doing in us. Pass down that generational calling, perspectives, values. If we're following them everywhere, then that really almost communicates that they're the leader, that they're the ones that should be teaching us as parents what to do, how to talk. And let's be honest, who's seen those kind of attitudes sneaking in and wreaking havoc in your family at times? I think we all have. And so it's time for us to change something. What does it look like? What does it mean to create opportunities in the home? Let me tell you this right away. True delegation of duties in the home is not saying, I'm tired of doing all this stuff for you guys. You're old enough. You're going to buck up and get this list done. Put the list up there. And then from that point on, you just chew them out because they're not doing it the way you would want them. I've done it. Let's just be honest. Probably a bunch of us, we get to that point where like, we can't take this anymore. And instead of equipping them to know how to do it right and taking them along the journey so that we're replicating in them the things that God has done in us, our values, our perspectives, and just a true work ethic, really, into our kids, we just explode, ignore until we explode again. And that's not effective. So, what do? Give them a list. Yes, you should give them a list. We do that on cleaning days, and I gotta tell you, oh my word, it got rid of almost all of the whining, complaining, yelling, whatever. Because the kids knew, this is my list, I have to get this done, and I know when it's gonna end. That's the biggest thing for most kids, is you're like, you're going to help me around the house. There's no real start time. There's no real end time. They don't feel confident in knowing what's expected of them. And so it goes downhill. Let's just say it that way. If we can give them clear objectives, I want you to do this, 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 and even little notes on there at first. This is how I know it's done right. When you don't see streaks on the window, whatever it might be. That's going to help them so much. Know how to be successful in the things that you're delegating to them. So make a list. When they don't do it right, don't freak out. Instead, use it as an opportunity to train them again. And when I say train, I'm not saying don't do it for them. Don't, that's it. You're not doing it right. Let me show you how it's done. And then you do the whole thing for them. No, make them still do it, but guide them with positive reinforcing words and encourage them when it's done. Hey, you did a nice job there in the end. You didn't really understand what you were doing as much, and that was on me at the beginning. But man, you really turned around at the end, and this looks good. You did an awesome job. Building them up is going to be huge. When they do it right, build them up again. Don't be like, oh, it's about time. Okay, we feel that way, or we don't say anything at all because that's what's expected of them. They should be doing above the bar everything at all times. We gotta spend some time, encourage them, and you know how they receive it best. Maybe that's by a mini reward. And I'm not talking about rewarding them every time they do something right, because you can't. Then they're going to expect that. Maybe it's writing a note to them. And I'm not talking about every time. Then they'll do it for that note. We want to do it to create a servant's heart. But you can't totally ignore the celebration of right choices. Otherwise, they'll stop making right choices. So when they don't do it right, don't freak out, train. When they do it right, celebrate. Not all the time, but make sure that you notice they did a great job and you appreciate it. When they don't want to do it at all, when there's whining, complaining, offer to trade chores with them. That works so beautifully in our house. They know the things that mom and dad tackle, making a meal for the entire family, doing all the laundry and folding it and putting it away, all the stuff that they definitely don't want to do. And so when they start whining about doing a chore, maybe it's sweeping out the garage or putting away the dishes from the dishwasher in the morning or whatever it might be, vacuuming once a week, say, hey, I'll take on vacuuming today if you take on making meals today. We can do it even trade. That sounds pretty even to me. And most likely, the complaining will end. If the complaining continues, just take over. Or you may have to set up some consequences. What we did at our house, and this has worked like a charm so far because we have lists. We say, hey, anyone who's heard whining or complaining about this list that you knew was coming, and we need you to help out around the house, anyone we hear whining and complaining is going to have one item removed from a siblings list and added to theirs. Oh man, they don't just have an extra chore, their sibling has less chores. Done deal. There is no whining, no complaining. And even if you see that about to come out, you're like, oh, are you gonna complain? You ready to take on one of your brothers or sisters' chores for them so that they finish earlier? Is that what you're shooting for? Silence. They buckle down and they get it done. But again, we don't want to just give them chores to give them chores. We want to train them why we're doing these chores, that it's out of love for each other that we're going to create a space that they enjoy being, even if it forces us out of our comfort zone, out of what our own plans for the day, out of what we want to do, and where we prefer others. That is what it's all about. So don't just delegate it. Also, teach, train, and you are going to see a massive change in your kids. Not right away. It takes time. Just like anything great takes time. But it is so worth it. All right. I'm going to tell you another way tomorrow that I think you're really going to enjoy. And your kids will as well. So, I'll see you next time. All right. Bye, everybody.